What you gonna do, brother? We about to run wild with a style like no other. So somebody call Brodus Clay mother and tell her Richard runs on the men like Ed Lover. And Doc Dre, what Scott say, what they hang on every word like it's something that the Rock say. No JR, but they talking wrestling. We bring the noise with the boys, so we going castling. So masculine, oozing machismo, mutton chop shop, Gran Turismo. No free throws, snarl hoops and heels. Steve Bras retirement can be the super feels. Straight shoot us real, drop a pipe bomb, get ready to bull like the Rock's right arm. So stay calm, tranquilo, I'll go Naito and give them Destino. And we know that you chumps ain't ready for the heartbreak runs and the Cuban Genetti. They drop it heavy, tag team it like Teddy. Long go strong with the heat like Eddie. So steady like when Taker walk the tightrope. Spaz like Taz with the mic and a tight choke. Dirtiest player in the game with the eye poke. 1988 Macho Man on a line of coke. These other cats are a waste, they boring. Illegitimate sons like Jason Jordan. And Richard Runz never give him respect unless they going on air with a broken frickin' neck. So bounce like Papa Pump's pecs. Every time they get down, they bound to catch wreck. Y'all don't know nada, they the Okadas. You're the Washington Generals, they the Globetrotters. A whole lot of podcasts in the scene, but Richard Runz running wild is the cast of your dreams. So it seems these two is too sweet. Bullet Club pulling up with schemes to delete. So retreat, we steal, we cheat, but I never lie, I swear on these beats. And these two got some styles for you, but what you gonna do when they run wild on you?
Oh, hell yeah. It's the Big Dog Red Tires. And you're listening to the Running Wild podcast. Because if you're trying to run wild, this is the place to do it.
Do you want to let everyone know that you get it? Do you not want to be a Melvin? Well, then listen to the Running Wild podcast. And if you don't, you know what you are.
I'm the last real man, Silas Young. And if you're any kind of man, you'll be listening to the Running Wild podcast.
Hi guys, this is Mandy Leon, and you're listening to the Running Wild podcast.
This is Sam Adonis, El Burro de las Chicas, the CMLL, and you are listening to the Running Wild podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Running Wild Podcast. I'm your host, Rich. Alongside me, as always, my co-host, Runz.
Yes, sir.
Just before we get started, I want to remind you that we're brought to you in partnership with pwponderings.com, ROHworld.com, and lastwordonprowrestling.com. Alrighty, so we're kind of delving into some SummerSlam fallout. We've got an interview with Matt Taven and some big news that he found out this week, and everything in between. So we if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you go back into the archives. Our SummerSlam episode is up. That was kind of a freebie that we threw out there early in the week. Because we were both kind of hyped up, and so hyped up that we actually both watched Raw and Smackdown. Which when's the last time that I think both of us watched it? Like every minute.
Once.
Yeah, I mean this is and I will say that I felt handsomely rewarded for the most part.
Yeah, I mean SummerSlam was really good, and so it definitely prompted me and you as well to want to check out Raw and SmackDown for sure. So, and neither one of them really disappointed. So, I can't say I was any bit displeased that I spent 5 hours watching it.
Yeah, I mean, some people, I don't need to see Lashley and Constable Corbin. I wasn't really super into that. Riot Squad defeating Ember Moon, Bayley, and Sasha was fine, but I didn't really. Wasn't super. I was into Ambrose and Ziggler. I thought that was a pretty good match.
Yeah, I guess it's it was a solid match, but it was just I don't know. It sucks for Dolph. I don't know what happens to him, so I was just kind of focused on that the whole time, or I was focused on all right, well, what happens next? Is Ambrose going to turn on Rollins? Is McIntyre going to turn on Ziggler? So I was kind of just waiting for that. And then nothing happened, so I was like, oh, well, great. All right, sweet. But luckily we got that Big Shield reunion at the end, which, is just cool because the Shield is the only thing that they've done right in the past however many years. So when they come back and they're together, it's oh, cool. this group that really worked because they never lost and they just killed everyone.
By the way, I want you guys all out there in our all our listeners to know that Jeff just pulled an amazingly good move. See, I'm not sure if he really wants to go over all the matches, so he very slyly just jumped to the main angle. And really, I gotta say, man, you did that effortlessly. That was amazing. I didn't even know what was happening. And then I was like, wait a minute, but we didn't talk about the other 3 matches in the middle. I'm like, oh, this guy's good.
Well, I mean, we were talking about Rollins and Ambrose and why something didn't happen after the match. So I just went to that because that's what happened.
Well, all right, let's get into that. I can't believe it. Like my jaw kind of dropped, and I had to go back and rewind it. I couldn't believe that they were doing it. I love that Rollins came out with the full gear. And I feel like he came out with like the doofier gear, like the extra pockets and stuff like that, and everything. Where Reigns has just the modified cooler gear and everything. So, and also I think Ambrose, man, that. He looks so much better, like now with like the shorter hair almost, and like he's jacked up, so it kind of like worked a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit of like a different look than we've been used to for them as a trio. So yeah.
Just quickly before we finish up with that, I just wanted to breeze through the rest because the rest, like the other matches, were all under 10 minutes, which is kind of ridiculous combined. Elias just squashes Hawkins. Authors of Pain, marginally long match. They defeated Titus Worldwide, which is, I guess no surprise. Just felt like filler. And then I don't think this normally works out this way, but Dawson beat Dallas and Wilder beat Axel in like 2 minutes each. So usually when they do the tag teams like that, they split why bury the champion? Like usually like one guy from one team wins and one guy from the other team wins. I don't understand why they did it this way.
Well, because they're the B team and they are really not good, so I think it's like what they said after the match. Like, all right, yeah, you beat us separately, but together.
Did you like the main event, the Reigns and Balor? I was hyped when it got announced, but it didn't. I don't know. I didn't think it was that great, to be honest with you.
The what?
The match itself, Balor and Reigns.
It was solid, but like there was never thought that Balor was going to win. So yeah, like it's cool to see him get a shot. Him and Reigns have a little bit of history, but
Am I crazy? Look, I know that you were hyped to see Finn Balor come out in the Demon gear at SummerSlam. But he comes out in Demon gear for a random match with Corbin. But then doesn't come out in Demon gear for a championship opportunity against Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw in the main event. Like, I don't...
Well, it was a little bit more than just a random match with Corbin. It was SummerSlam, and it was the big, Corbin's been bad-mouthing him and all that. And he's never been the Demon on Raw except for the first time ever that he came out as it, just to come out as it and like show the crowd what it was. But it's saved for pay-per-views and stuff like that, and I don't know. I'd rather not see it every night, so that's not an issue for me. But I get what you're saying. Like, it's a title match, but 2 nights in a row, and he's going to lose. So he's not going to be the Demon when he's going to lose.
So he's never lost as a Demon?
No.
Okay. All right. So I guess that makes sense. See, like, if you wanted to make Monday Night more interesting, that's when he comes out as a Demon, but then he would lose, would suck. But
right, and you didn't need to make it more interesting because you had Braun and you had the Shield in the back pocket.
Yeah, Braun, I was just kind of waiting. maybe that's another thing because I just kind of waited for that to come out. He comes out at the end, and Reigns hits a spear and wins. Then Braun's about to cash in, and then the Shield music hits, and that was. I don't know, man. I can't believe I'm hyped. I can't believe like that in 7 minutes at the end of that show, they completely... I mean, at least for me, I'm bought in, man. I'm bought in.
But it's because they did the Shield right. Like, when the Shield debuted, they didn't lose. They beat everybody. They were cool. Whereas any other group that you've ever had, they lose the first match, they're done. The Nexus was awesome. One of the craziest scenes in history. And they ruined them. They lost right away. That was it. Wade Barrett could never win. So instead of Wade Barrett being the champion and the Nexus dominating, now Wade Barrett is not in the company and he's just being in movies.
He's not
Wade
even
Barrett
wrestling,
was phenomenal.
Right? The dude's not even wrestling anymore.
Wade Barrett was phenomenal. He was amazing. And just, now he doesn't exist because they don't know how to book things properly. But with the Shield, whether it was Vince's love for Reigns, Rollins, Ambrose, all together, whatever it was, they did right by them. And they were awesome. So now when you see them together, it brings that back. Like, oh, man, these guys were so dope. They were such badasses. They never lost. They were great. So I don't care that people are, like, crying, like, oh, they're bringing back the Shield to try and save Reigns. Like, okay, maybe, but, hey,
I'm into it.
I was wondering how you stop Braun from cashing in, right? It can't just be Reigns because he's not a heel. He's not just going to run away. So now you have the Shield. That's perfect stopgap, right, to hold Braun off for a little bit, and you can extend that till whatever.
I mean, are they heels
and it's
now?
The Shield. I don't think so. Like, I saw something where, like, they're advertised to fight, like, Dolph and Drew and whatever. So, you never know. But, I mean, Braun is a super babyface, and, three guys attacking one is usually a heel move. But, nobody sold it that way. Michael Cole was super hyped. Corey Graves was literally in awe. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was like that immediately. SummerSlam ended, and I was like, okay, they worked around it and whatever. But I never, in my wildest dreams, thought that they were going to get people. I mean, I'm on board. I don't know. I mean, some people might still be negative about it, and I think they're just. At this point, for me, if you're not excited at the end of Monday Night Raw, then there's no getting to you, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, yeah, but, people are people, so.
I mean, yeah, but I just feel like this is the best thing they could have done with them. And I honestly feel like if this didn't, like, get you at least a little excited, like, a little positive.
Well, look on Twitter. There are plenty of people who are like, oh, they're bringing them back to save Reigns. So here we go. Vince's project all over. It's just, that's how some people are.
All right, well, I thought SmackDown was very good too, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the Miz Bryan stuff, especially with Brie, was awesome. I know everyone kind of popped when she ran out there and punched Miz in the face.
Crazy. I was so excited about that.
So that was cool. And her and Maurice have a legitimate history, whatever the case is with that. So it's all built in.
What do you mean?
For that?
What?
Wasn't it like they were all supposed to come back together, and then the Bellas came back without Maurice, and it was a whole thing on like Total Divas a bunch of years ago. That's what they talked about it in the Cena storyline with Nikki. So Brie and Maurice had whatever, Bryan and Miz obviously. So that was excellent, and that's what we wanted to see from that, because now you can continue that feud for at least a couple more pay-per-views because you have the women involved in the next match, right? And then Samoa Joe and AJ was, basically exactly what you wanted to see from both of them.
Yeah, the Orton Jeff Hardy was fine.
Why do you choose that instead of discussing good stuff?
I just because we're 12 minutes in, and I have a bad feeling that if we gloss over SmackDown, we're gonna have a 20-minute episode. All right. Well, also shout out to friend of the podcast and your brother-in-law, Jules, for going to the first show he's gone to in like years. He won't hear this shout out because I don't think he listens to the show. You probably want to get on that. That's another viewer we could have. Actually, that's another.
That'll be 13.
We could get him, your sister, the baby. I mean, it'd be crazy. That's make them get it on 3 different phones. That's 3 different listeners. Hey, you know, who am I joking? The stat wife doesn't even listen to the show unless she hears us talking while we're recording. So I just want to start saying like wild stuff about her, like just wild lies, and see if she ever like finds out about it.
Probably wouldn't be a good idea.
Yeah, Royce versus Naomi was whatever. I mean, again, very short match. I wasn't super into it. Then Becky came out. What did you think of Becky's promo? I mean, it was typical heel stuff. Like, she's, you know, working that heel character, but there was a lot of fallout that even though she did that, like, it still kind of makes you feel like you should be rooting for her and WWE messed up here. Like, there are a lot of people on Twitter. That's the most negativity I saw about these 2 shows or about SummerSlam fallout was essentially that they really made a mistake with making Becky go heel.
I don't. Based on what? Like, I don't. I get it. Like, Charlotte weaseled her way in and that sort of a thing. But, like, it's the way that she went about it that, like, it wasn't that way. And she spoke to Becky about it and all that sort of stuff. But Becky just couldn't handle her still in the spotlight or Charlotte being better than her. So, I don't know. Like, I get whatever, but I don't know. The pop that Becky got for turning on Charlotte was pretty outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, listen, I understand that people like Becky, but I feel like stuff is getting a little crazy. Look, she did you know, I think the best angles, and you know, like, say, I'm not putting it on the same level, but Macho Man Hogan, right? I mean, if you watch the footage, you could kind of see why Randy Savage is pissed off. You know, like, by the end of it, like, you know, and I've listened to Pritchard talk about it. Like, they purposely had, like, you know, Hogan like have his hand too close to like Liz's butt, like when Savage won the belt, because they wanted it to be like a string of like, you know, this story unraveling, and you can see Macho Man's point of view. I think it's the same way here. Becky is the heel, but you can understand why she's the heel, but that still doesn't mean that she shouldn't be the heel. Like, I think it's a change in her character. She's been kind of that. I think she kind of fell into like a Dean Ambrose role, where she was just like kooky and like kind of weird and off the wall a little bit. And she wasn't winning, and now like she's sick of it, and she turned heel. I think it makes complete sense, and I mean, I like rooting for heels. Like, it doesn't. I root for heels most of the time, unless it's against unless it's Tommaso Ciampa or Kevin Steen. Other than that, I mean, a lot of times I like the heels, so I'm fine with liking Becky, and I don't think that like there's anything. If you choose to like Becky, you're choosing to root for the person who attacks somebody, and that's a heel tactic. I mean, like, you know, we work in schools. Like, if a kid just attacks another kid, like, they're in the wrong.
Right, and I understand, like, you know, most of the good stories, right, most of the great heels, there is an element of truth. There is an element of reality to what they're saying. So they make you like, oh, well, yeah, Kevin Owens is kind of right here, but still, like, oh, he's still an asshole. So it's the way you're saying, it's the way you're going about it, you know, or the way you're handling it, that makes you the heel. And, you know, Charlotte didn't do anything wrong. Becky would have done the same thing if she was in Charlotte's shoes. She would have fought a match. She would have won. She would have got put in the match. Maybe Charlotte wouldn't have turned on her after. Maybe Charlotte wouldn't have been jealous. So you can't say that, you know, one person is clearly right here. There's elements to both sides, and there's, you know, there's a clear reason that, or you can see both sides of it, and that's kind of the point. You have to choose a side. You know, or you're going to choose a side, and I think that's what makes debates or anything like that fun. So
agreed. Rusev and Lana won. The English came out and helped them out, so they kind of got even with Almas and Vega. I just hope they move away from the mixed tag stuff at this point. I'm good. I don't really need it. And it's weird because they have this mixed tag angle going on, and now, essentially, I mean, I feel like what we're leading to is going to be a mixed tag, Bryan and Brie versus the Mizanins. I'm not super hyped about that.
Not super hyped about what?
The Bryan and Brie versus.
4 seconds ago, you just said how excited you were
for Brie coming out.
Came out and punched her in the
Yeah,
face.
but I don't want to see this on a like. So now the next pay-per-view is that like I don't know.
I don't understand where you were 4 minutes ago when I just went over this entire thing and I said, now you can extend that because the next pay-per-view is going to be the mixed tag, so that's fine, and then you get Bryan Miz. Otherwise it's Bryan Miz.
Okay.
Now you add the other element to it. You got their wives, the mothers of their kids, all that stuff involved. That's perfectly fine. Why would you get excited for her to run out if you wouldn't be excited for her?
I don't know.
The angle or the match.
I just thought that she was like at first. I just thought she was just like backstage. And I'm not taking this shit. I didn't think
that's exactly what it was.
But I didn't think it was going to turn into a mixed tag match. Like I'm like, ugh.
Okay. You don't watch wrestling for 30 years.
I just don't like mixed tag matches. Not WWE. Like if
it is what it is.
I mean, if Brie it would be hilarious if Brie could wrestle Miz. That would be fantastic. But they're not going to do that, so. Oh, speaking of mixed tag match, have you played the WWE game recently?
No.
Now they have women available, so now you can have mixed tag matches. So like there's
been women available in the game for a long time.
No. In the phone game.
Oh, never in my life.
No, sorry. I like to drink my Mountain Dew Kickstarter while I'm playing the game because their advertising is so good. It just gets me into it. And then I switch over to Tap Baseball.
Alrighty then.
Moving along. Then you had this whole knock thing where he's he's the American hero. And it's
Knock America was brilliant.
Knock America's good. That's good. I mean, whatever. I feel like they lean on this a lot.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't want to see every U.S. champion be the president of the USA. That's Kevin Owens had his whole spiel,
And he just did it. Like, okay, I get that. Like,
that was a while ago.
Was it?
Yeah, because that was before he was even on Raw, and that's been at least a year.
All right, fine. I mean, I just, yeah, but all right. I'll accept it, but it just. Yeah, I just feel like they did it too recently. I feel like they could have given a little bit more time, but I get it. It just feels like every time there's a dude who's not born in America with the U.S. title, which seems like there are more people who are not born in America with the U.S. title than is the opposite, but it feels like the only reason they have it. And I guess then you had AJ come out, as you talked about before. That was... Whew, man, okay. I don't know if I was super into AJ. He's good. Let me be clear. He's very good. But now, I legitimately want him to destroy Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has gone over the line, and I don't appreciate it. And I want to see AJ Styles stick up for his family and beat this dude down.
Right now, he's, really has a backbone, and he has some character, and some type of personality or, backstory, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. This makes him, this brings out the best in both of them because AJ is that underdog who's just, he's going to fight for his life and he's so good that he'll beat you. And Joe is that big, mean bully. That's what made him Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor and TNA. This is just, it's been a lot of fun. And, there's so many times when, he just mentions his wife and everyone's just like, oh man, AJ, get him, so how angry would people have been if, that match just ended in a DQ at SummerSlam. But because of how Joe cut his promo and the things that he said, nobody cared, and everyone went nuts when AJ went nuts. So, everyone's, has AJ's back, and this is just bringing out the best of Samoa Joe.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm super into this, and just, I think the better the heel, the more interesting it is. And I don't think AJ's had a heel. The knock low blow stuff was terrible, and I'm just so glad we're past that. The Jinder stuff, I didn't care.
Nakamura, but they didn't give it to him. Jinder, no way. Yeah, Orton, he hasn't had anyone on SmackDown, which is, a great reason for him to just hold that belt forever and for him to be the champion. But it's nice now that we have at least one. And this, I'm torn because AJ is so good. I was just telling you, I was watching, I put on TNA on Twitch at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it happened to be Bobby Roode versus AJ for the title. Short-haired AJ, long-haired Bobby Roode. And I was just thinking, this guy, I've loved that dude forever. I have a TNA AJ Styles action figure. Think about that. I don't even know where that's from. But now, he was the guy who was never even considered by WWE. And then he left. He went to New Japan. He did some stuff in Ring of Honor. They signed him, and I think they're all reaping the benefits. But, man.
Yeah. I'm really happy with, I just gotta say, I'm very happy with the way they're kind of moving forward with a lot of the fallout from SummerSlam. I think it was really smart. It really felt like a big change for the company.
Definitely agreed. It's not just us. I see and hear a lot of people saying the same things, and it hasn't been good for quite a stretch. And SummerSlam and the 2 shows after were excellent. So, hopefully they keep going in that direction. The challenge becomes after AJ Joe was what? After Miz Bryan, then what? They could very easily just kind of swap. But, then that gets stale after some point. So we're going to have to see how they handle the Shield going forward, what they do with Braun. So it should definitely be interesting.
Yep, and then, you had reported to me earlier in the day that, if you're a fan of sports, specifically, I don't know if there are any long-suffering Jet fans out there, but if you're a fan of Chad Pennington, you know that hearing the name Dr. James Andrews is never a good thing. And they said that Rowan was heading to go to see Dr. James Andrews, check out his shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Probably rotator cuff, knowing that this guy is an expert on those.
Yeah, I mean, speaking from someone who can't lift his shoulder, right now, I can see why he would, immediately need some surgery on that.
Yeah, so, but he toughed it out. I gotta give him credit. I mean, that main event was great.
He tore his bicep.
His bicep. Okay.
It was all wrapped up and all that. So, I mean, it's I can't speak to the toughness. I give him 100% credit, but people have done that. So I don't know. I think once it's torn, that's it. The pain isn't really super crazy, But I could be very wrong, and still tough as hell. And that's kind of wrestling. Takahashi broke his neck and finished the match. That's just, I think that's, I think that's what ended Big Cass. Enzo spoke about it, and after that, it just kind of wasn't the same after he hurt himself and didn't hit the elbow and pin Enzo. He didn't finish that match, and I think it kind of hurt his tough levels in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, the guys wrestle injured all the time, so it's not much of a surprise. But still, I mean, when I heard Andrews, I was like, oh no. So I was pretty excited.
It's never what you want to hear. But, New Day got the win, and that was exciting. I was really hoping for like Undisputed Era to show up. You know, like, oh, Big E's kind of banged up. Cole lost his belt. You know, they're going to fight the War Raiders, so they'll probably lose those. So, you know, it would have been like a perfect thing. But, you know, you don't really want to debut the Shield and Undisputed Era back-to-back nights. You don't want to kind of do similar of a thing, you know.
No, yeah, I get that. By the way, we did skip over what was probably my favorite moment of the week in wrestling. When R-Truth came out and said that he was sick of Carmella dodging him, and he finally wanted his title shot.
I fast-forwarded past that. I saw R-Truth. I figured he said something about being in a women's match, and I just kept it moving.
He's just like, Carmella, you've been ducking me. I want a title match. And then Paige is like, that's not how this works. So,
I mean, that guy, he's living a good life right now.
You know, like, I know some people would tell me that I would get tired of it. I wouldn't get tired of it.
You would, because they would run out of things. Like, eventually there would be nothing for him to say. And it's so much better. Once a month, I could, you know, I think that would be good. You know, because when it happens, then you're like, oh, Truth. And then he just says something. And
how much is he getting paid?
Probably a good amount of money. And, you know, I really wonder, like, there's no reason for this. Like, he went on the whole Little Jimmy stuff, and, you know, they just kind of said he was crazy. But no one's ever said, like, when he comes out with the ladder or all that sort of stuff, nobody's like, oh, R-Truth fell on his head one too many times, or, you know. So it would have been cool if, like, somebody slapped him and, you know, it set him off, and now all this stuff happens. You know, kind of like Jay Lethal. Speaking of Jay Lethal, I rewatched the Woo Off with Ric Flair, and, you know, if anyone hasn't or just hasn't seen it in the past week, just go watch it, because my God, it's just epic. It's one of the greatest things that you'll ever see.
My favorite part is even though I've watched it so many times, I could still put it on, like, and turn around and not know a couple
you
times.
You can tell because you know Lethal's voice, but my God, it's amazing. And just when Flair is just like, wow, like, you could tell he's just like, oh, okay, man, good stuff.
They both attack the jackets. It's so good. Well, speaking of Lethal, thank you for the segue. We'll touch on WWE at the end. I wanted to talk about the NXT spoilers that came out, but I don't want to do it in the middle of the episode. So I got a chance to take a look at the Honor Reunited Tour. You know, Ring of Honor had actually sent. We didn't talk about this on Monday, but they actually sent an email to Honor Club subscribers apologizing, saying that they wouldn't be able to have the event, and that they chose to let Fight basically broadcast it, and that it's now available on Honor Club. You know, I kind of said it elsewhere, but I feel like they could have just done that beforehand. You know, just give a heads up. Yo, we can't, you know, blah, 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 we can't do it. We'll have it on our club after the weekend.
Yeah, but if you say that, then anyone who even considered buying it doesn't buy it. You know, I think everyone kind of expected them to be on Honor Club, but I think if you put that out there, then why spend $15 on one show when I can just spend $10 and get all three in 2 days? So, you know, I appreciated them sending that email on Monday.
Yeah, me too.
You know, just apologizing, because they definitely didn't have to do that. There was no need. And I really appreciated that, because it's, you know, that's what you think. Like, oh, I pay for this service that you told me your shows would be on, and now they're not on. So I think for them to just address that right away and say, hey, you know, this was kind of a prearranged thing. We couldn't do anything about it. Here are the shows, and it'll never happen again. You know, I thought that was dope.
Yeah, I won't lie. I mean, I guess I guess since I've been following it, you know, like a little bit more, it was just a little annoying to me. I like watching stuff live. I'm past, because it makes it feel more important when you're actually watching it as it's happening.
Right, but I mean, for someone, I had no idea what happened in any of the three, so when I threw them on, it basically was live. You know, like I don't.
All right, that makes sense. Like I get the big bucks for covering, so I have to pay attention to what's happening as it happens.
But I thought you said you didn't cover them.
No. I mean, like,
oh,
because
you didn't write a review. Gotcha.
Yeah, because I cover Ring of Honor, I pay attention to it a little bit more than other stuff. So the first night I thought was fine. I mean, it was the first night of the tournament. I mean, for me, like, these shows, you know, when you have 3, I think you can condense them to 2. And I also like the idea of tournaments like a little closer. But essentially, the first night, you had the beginning of.
Can you even call this a tournament? How many people were in it? Like I thought, like the first night they were like, "Oh, the semifinals." Like, what the hell? What happened to the?
No. The first night was the quarterfinals. They had it was a.
How the hell is it a quarterfinals when there was no tournament?
It was 8 people. 8 people.
So it's the first round. It's not the quarterfinals.
All right. So you're the first round, then you're the semis. The first night was the first night was the first round, and you had the kicked off. I mean, I'll just kind of go over the highlights. You had Gresham versus Haskins, which I thought was one of the better night shows on the night. Haskins came in win the winner, and and we'll talk about that. But I kind of saw that coming, even though I really like Gresham. Sabian versus Gordon was good. They're kind of a little bit mirror image of each other. Gordon walked away the winner there. Then both Tennille Dashwood and Chardonnay had medical issues, so they weren't able to participate. So you had Viper versus Kaylee Ray. Kaylee Ray won. Havoc versus Daniels was a comedy match. There was a point where, like, basically the story was that Havoc kept trying to make it like a hardcore match, and that Daniels kept saying, "I don't want a hardcore match." But in the end, he ended up losing because Havoc pulled out a staple gun, and then Daniels staple gunned Sinclair in the butt, and then threw the staple gun at Havoc so that he would get in trouble. But then, like, Sinclair has the staple gun, and Havoc pushes Daniels into Sinclair. So now Daniels accidentally gets stapled gun in the shoulder, and then ends up losing the match because of that, like, distraction or whatever. It was fine. I mean, it was changing up what was going on in the night, and I mean, I didn't know this, but on the last show, you end up having Havoc in a proper street fight type match, and knowing that this match is okay, but not knowing it because the London show was kind of going to be up in the air because you didn't know who was going to win or lose, that kind of bothered me. Henry, I don't know if you've seen Joe Henry before, but when he comes out in Edinburgh, I mean, like, he's got the local hero, he's got this ridiculous entrance. It's really fun. If you got
Hendry, right?
Hendry, yeah,
he's on TNA.
Yeah, what? I gotta take a look at that. This guy, I love his entrance, man. Like, I'm super into it. So it was a good match with Paige.
Yeah, he's good.
He's fun. I mean, he's somebody.
I think he's in the new UK tournament as well.
He's somebody to me who, like, I don't know how he would translate to Ring of Honor crowds here, but, like, when he's in his hometown or whatever, or he's the local hero, like, people go crazy for him, and it makes it so much better. It's like Adam Rose, like, not completely, because Rose, I felt like, was more just of an entrance. I think Henry's a little bit more than that, but it depends where you are. Then, Lethal versus Adam Brooks, Proving Ground match, I feel like that was never going to be... That was never going to be Brooks winning. He looked pretty good out there, but I was never really into this. And then Martinez and the Briscoes versus the Villain Club was fine. It's like the 6-man tags that you see the Briscoes and the Young Bucks involved in a lot. Good stuff. I mean, but this first night, and that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's like this first night didn't do much for me altogether, and I just feel like they could shave off a little bit. The truth is, though, they're gonna do 3 shows, right? They're gonna go to Edinburgh. They're gonna go to Doncaster. They're gonna go to London. Those are like the 3 places they go to when they go out there. And I get, like, trying to give different people, like, the chance to see them, but
well, right. That's what I was gonna say. They're 3 very different places. So, I'm sure there are some, but I'm sure there are also a lot who are not traveling to all 3. They're staying local and going to that one and catching them. So it's cool that they go to the 3 places and, hit as much as they can. And, it night 1 of tours is, even if it's in America, the first night of Global Wars or whatever, it's you always just kind of like, okay,
it's a Thursday show.
Like it's kind of setting, the foundation or the tone for the other 2 or the other one. So, it's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever hyped for like Thursday shows. The rest of
usually the big matches are on the other 2 nights.
It was just weird, like, no Kingdom, no Silas Young, no Dalton Castle. I can go down the line with other guys, but...
Right, there were a lot of UK talents, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's kind of the point of these shows, and, just look at, what NXT's been doing with their UK guys, and now the whole NXT UK and all that. So it's not like there's not talent out there, and, ROH would be good to scoop up anyone they can before, a lot of the good guys are just NXT UK, because someone like Hendry is good. The NXT UK is filmed in the UK, and if he was on the cruiserweight, if he was on the UK tournament, then he's at least on their radar.
Yeah.
So someone like him, I'm pretty sure he was at the tapings and on the shows. So someone like him.
Haskins is someone they should sign, I think.
Well, I'm pretty sure Haskins is also on the UK shows. But Haskins is really good, and unless he just wants to stay in the UK, then I don't know why anyone hasn't signed him, because that guy, like, he's wrestled in TNA, he's wrestled in NXT on the UK stuff. He's done I think he did the 205 Live tournament or whatever. He's been on 205 Live. Like, he's everywhere. So it's kind of funny that, like, he's not signed, but, he's so good that everyone just is like, all right, yeah, we'll use him. Doesn't matter.
Agreed. The second night, just the highlights, really, Haskins goes on and wins the International Cup. He's going to be challenging Lethal the next night. Lethal and Gresham beat the Young Bucks, which I thought was kind of a big deal. The Young Bucks don't lose often, and they're doing a little, it's smart, because they're going to have Lethal and Gresham in a 30-minute Ironman match for the title, so have them win the match together, so it shows they can work as a team, but at the same time, Gresham wants that singles gold, so it's a smart move. The third night was a lot better overall. You had Gresham beat Henry, Page ended up beating Gordon and Kip Saban. Kaylee Ray defeated Aisha Raymond. Daniels beat Briscoe versus disqualification. They had some storyline stuff here. The Briscoes beat Daniel down afterwards, and then Henry and Gordon saved them. Then they had a non-title street fight. Punishment Martinez ended up beating Jimmy Havoc, but that's when you got to see Havoc be Havoc. So that's the show for me to watch. Skrull beat Jay Briscoe. Again, some more storyline stuff, where essentially Jay came out, Daniels and Jay came out, and Jay went to hit Marty with a title, but Marty hit him with an umbrella, and then that was kind of he took the match there. Young Bucks beat Johnny Storm and Fleisch. Those guys, I've never seen them before, but it was cool to see them there. I know they have some history with Ring of Honor. And then in the end, Lethal in a really good match with Haskins. Now we're back to this era where I feel like the title matches are a little bit more intriguing, or at least we know we're going to get like a 30-minute, knockdown, drag-out affair.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Lethal is, Lethal is kind of that guy where, like, when he's facing, the UK guy like Haskins, or the Japanese guy, whether it's Kushida or Ishii or Okada or whoever, for a Global Wars tour or whatever the case, it feels like a bigger match. No offense to Castle, but that's just, Lethal has history. He's one of the all-time greats in Ring of Honor. So, it feels that way when he's the champion, when he's in these matches. And like you said, it's nice that the Ring of Honor title, which is always kind of, the wrestling title, to be in Lethal's hands and have, 25, 30 plus minute matches. that's always fun, especially when it's with someone like Haskins, who you don't see often. And then it's like, oh man, this guy can really go. And, in the UK environment, it was a lot of fun.
And right now we have a special little treat that we have a friend from the show, Alex Jimenez from Spain, and he was actually live at the London show. And here are his immediate reactions after the show from London.
Hey, this is Alex Jimenez from Cambridge. Well, actually from Spain, but right now I'm in the UK. You can follow me on Twitter on Alex Jimenez, Gimenez BCM from Barcelona. I do it both in Spanish and in English, so you can follow here all my work, all my thoughts. First of all, a great thank you to my friend Rich Laconi for this opportunity to be here on the Last Word on Pro Wrestling podcast. I know it's a very important podcast for him, so it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm from Barcelona, Spain, so English isn't my first language, but I think I will try to do my best so you can understand me correctly. I will talk a little about how was my experience at the Ring of Honor ReUnited show in London. It was my fourth time watching Ring of Honor live. I've been in one of the shows since 2016 and all the Ring of Honor tours, the Reach for the Sky tour, the War of the Wars UK, the Honor United and Honor ReUnited. It was also my third time in Joe Hall. The show was great. I was with some friends. I also met some new friends that I didn't met before. Joe Hall wasn't packed. It was something like 800 more or less people right there. There was a good crowd, a great atmosphere. As always, I really love Joe Hall. I think they should always do shows there. I like the Crystal Palace place in May, but I really love the Joe Hall, and I think it's the best way because the atmosphere always is incredible if the people are hot. I really liked the show. Thought it was the best of the tour. I saw both Doncaster and Edinburgh on Fight TV. I liked the shows. It was an easy watch, no intermission, 2.5 hours of wrestling. People I really like to see, but it was all average matches without very great performance. Aside from Mark Haskins' match with Flip Gordon, the semi-final of the tournament, and also the Haskins Hammond Page final in Doncaster. But this London show was really a great show. I will say one of my favorites on-demand shows of the year. The best of the tour, and for me also better than the May show I watched in London. That was Honor United Night 2 or Night 1, Night 2, yes, in London. I think this one in August was way better because everything was at least good. But the best things were fantastic matches. I mean, the one thing I really like about Ring of Honor is that you always see good cards. There is no really bad matches. It's very difficult to say, oh, this match was garbage. The level is so medium that it's an easy thing to watch. But this time in London, you have that plus two really great matches. We had a really fun opener between Joe Hendry and with Jonathan Gresham. It was like an exhibition match, very technical, 5-7 minutes, a fun match. Then it was Hammond Page, Kip Sabian and Flip Gordon, a three-way match. I really love that match. I think both Flip and Hammond are over as hell. I think these two guys should be future stars in Ring of Honor. Hammond Page, I see him as a world title, as a world champion, in the next couple of years. And I really liked this match. It was very spectacular. Both Hammond and Flip had outstanding performance, and the crowd were very into him. I thought that translated into the VOD version. That was a great match. I really liked it. The third match was Kelly Ray against Aisha Raymond. I've never seen before Aisha. I knew he was in Stardom in the UK and also in the first edition of the Mayon Classic. He had a really strong performance against Kaylee Ray, dominating all the match, but then she lost in the end. But it was really a cool match, and the best part was a guy that was like behind me. He was like the biggest Aisha Raymond fan in the world. He has his shirt and all that, and he was screaming, "Let's go Aisha!" all the time. Fun times. The fourth match was Mark Briscoe against Christopher Daniels. I really like that they did this match here because they are building the Briscoes against SCU or Addiction, whatever you want to call it, match at depth before Dishonor. Really cool match. And yeah, this Mark Briscoe against Christopher Daniels was good. Mark Briscoe was well received by the fans. There were some men up chants and also some SCU chants right there. Cool match. We saw a very aggressive side of Christopher Daniels with suplexes on the outside, with a little bit brawling, throwing to the barricades. Good match. In the end, Jay Briscoe tried to help Mark Briscoe and all of that with the chain. Well, I didn't like that Todd Sinclair reversed the decision and making Daniels the winner by disqualification, but makes sense in the bigger picture, and then with the baby faces doing the running and all of that. Cool match. And the best part for me was that they actually built the story into the next pay-per-view, and it wasn't just a match. The next match was Punishment Martinez against Jimmy Havoc. This is from the day the tour was announced. I really said, I wish Jimmy Havoc is eliminated in the tournament so he can have a street fight in London. I hope that this is against Punishment. And there we go, Martinez, Havoc, non-title match, street fight. It was fantastic, like 20 minutes, pure passion, pure emotion, lots of blood, fantastic spots. I really love the match. Really good match, like one of the best Martinez match in his career, period. Then there you go. We had the Jay Briscoe against Marty Scurll match. It was fine. It was good. I was really looking forward to that. Marty didn't do so much comedy, so that was fine. I really dislike when Marty kicked out of the Jay Driller because that move used to be one of the strongest in Ring of Honor, so I didn't really like that. But yeah, cool match. I'm a big fan of Briscoe. It's always great to see Jay live because he's so intense. And again, in the end, Marty won. Again, with Daniel's intervention, Mark Briscoe right there, building the tag match. I wasn't expecting Briscoe losing both matches, especially Jay Briscoe, but hey, Marty was super over with the crowd. He has like the biggest reaction of the night. I would say almost people were more loud for Marty than they were for the Bucks, so that was fantastic too. And the last two matches, John Bucks against Flights in Store, was a good match, cool match. It wasn't the best match of the night. Bucks are very tired. They were very doing their routine, nothing. They weren't into the next level, so that was fine. And Jody Flights and Jody Store was a little present for the local crowd, for their die-hard Ring of Honor fans. So I liked it, especially Jody Flies was amazing. He had a great reaction. And the Bucks, I mean, they are humans. It's been a long year. They were in Japan, traveling problems, coming to the UK, third show of the tour. So hey, they need some rest, but they have a good match. And then the main event, which was fantastic, that was the best part for me. Jay Lethal, Matt Haskins. 25 minutes, fantastic match. Jay Lethal working on Haskins' back, and then in the end, with all the drama, I thought that Haskins was gonna win the title like in two moments. He had with the double foot stomp and then the cradle and the pile driver. It was really cool. Jay Lethal won in the end. People really liked it. For me, it was like a match of the year contender, and for me the best singles Ring of Honor match without any stipulation, even better than the Lethal Gresham match from Masters of the Craft. So fantastic match. and it was so refreshing to see Lethal closing the show as Ring of Honor World Champion. No Bullet Club party. I really love the Bullet Club, but it was great to see Lethal closing the show. No Bullet Club. A pure match for the Ring of Honor World title, long match, technical match, and people chanting ROH and not Too Sweet or something like that. It was I really like that detail. Very, very good show. I hope they come back next year. I'm sure we'll be there. And yeah, I really love the experience. Really love every time I get to watch Ring of Honor. It's like in another level for me. I'm very pleased that they come 2 times this year to the UK. Really love that. Great show. Hope it's transferred well into video. And yeah, that are my thoughts about Honor Reunited London. Hope you like it. Again, thank my friend Rich, and see you in New York next year. Bye-bye.
All right. The last thing we'll go into the interview. So essentially, the CMLL, for those of you guys who don't follow along, they have their big show. Yes, Runz is raising his hand. They have their big show, their anniversario, the 85th one, on September 14th. And the main event, so there's been a lot of kind of craziness here. There was a lot of people thought Roosh was going to defend his hair in a Apuesta match against La Parca's Mask, the original LA Park. That did not occur. And the announcement this week actually came out was that the main event will be Volador Jr. and Matt Taven putting their hair on the line against Roosh and Barbaro Cavernario. I mean, this is pretty crazy to me. I mean, Matt Taven has, been in a sold-out Tokyo Dome winning the tag team titles with Michael Bennett. He's headlined Arena Mexico, already in sellouts, basically. Just last week, he had a match against Ultimo Guerrero in the main event and won. And he's had a CMLL title, and now he's going to put his hair on the line in the main event of the anniversary show. Like, that's crazy. I mean, he could end up being in the main event, possibly, or wrestling for the Ring of Honor title at the MSG show, which is a sellout. So, just kind of crazy that he's involved in this stuff, and we got a chance to sit down with him and talk to him about that. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Matt Taven back to the podcast. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Great. So once again, we're together here to talk about your time down in Mexico City, and specifically working for CMLL. Recently you had last time we spoke, you actually had won the NWA historic welterweight title from Volador Jr. Unfortunately, on your trip back down, you did lose it, but in the process, formed a partnership with him.
Yeah, it's kind of been like a crazy journey down here. It's like I come down here in between Ring of Honor dates, and it's just like I'm swept into this huge storm out of nowhere. And I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to wrestle for the title last time I was here. And unexpectedly this time, I find myself in the main event of the biggest show of the year, much to the dismay of all the internet fans and people that probably won't even watch the show, but want to get online and say something and make them feel important, like they know something. But and I was saying this to you earlier, off the air. I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of professional wrestling. No matter how many places I go and win titles and sell out shows and main event, I get no respect. But that's just, to me, it's kind of I love Rodney Dangerfield, so it's the best shtick going.
It's been great. Obviously you've been successful down there winning the championship. Been successful in Ring of Honor, but now you're poised for what could be, I'd have to say, one of the biggest matches of your career, in that you're not just putting a title on the line, but you're going to put your hair on the line in a tag team match in the main event of the 85th Anniversario show. Mm-hmm. How do you feel going into this match?
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like this is, what my goal was from day one of being here. The first time I came down here was like the week after the 83rd anniversary show, and it was one of those things where I was watching it before I came down and was like, I need to be the main event of the show. Like, and then once I came down here and experienced Arena Mexico, and you've been here before, like that crowd, that arena, there's something about it that just is so special. And now it's like, well, my goal since then has to be in this position. And, it took me 2 years to get here, and all of a sudden I'm in the main event. With my hair on the line, it's a little nerve wracking. I've had long hair for the last decade now, but I'm pretty confident with the fact that Volador Jr. is my tag partner, and I've been in the ring with Cavanario so many times and Rush so many times. It's like, this is where I'm meant to be, and this is why I take so much pride and let everyone know that I'm Matt Taven, because I was built for main events like this.
Recently, you got a chance to main event, speaking of main events, with Ultimo Guerrero again. You guys have had a storied history. Unfortunately, that one was not aired on CMLL's YouTube channel. But what was it like? I believe you guys were wrestling in Arena Mexico again, right?
Yeah, in Arena Mexico, and it's just, man, I can't explain the atmosphere of Arena Mexico unless you come down here and been here and felt it for yourself. To really kind of put your thumb on it, but wrestling all over the world has its different feelings to it, but there's nothing like wrestling in Arena Mexico. From just entering the building alone, you just know you're in this historic place, and the passion of the fans just brings it to the next level. So to wrestle Ultimo Guerrero in Arena Mexico again, this time it was the main event, and this time I ended up winning in Arena Mexico, which was something I was waiting for. I beat him in the U.S., but never here on his own turf, and for the people to shower us with money at the end, and it's one of those things that you're like, this is how I picture it going. This is, how I kind of almost dream about it, like taking place. You're that kid in the driveway, 3, 2, 1, and you chuck up the shot to, win the game. And it's like, as a wrestler, you think of more like this. And for it to happen, it's just, man, it's just one of those things where, again, like, as much as you want to doubt Matt Taven, you really can't deny him, Rodney Dangerfield, man, I get no respect.
Well, and speaking of no respect, you've become kind of a pro being on CMLL Informa, and then this week you got a chance to actually be part of the press conference. How do those go for you? It seems, as I'm watching, it seems that you're picking up most of what they're saying, and both, I think, Rush and Cavernario had some words for you.
Well, here's the thing, is that, like, the more and more I come in here, and the more, I can understand. So I'll hear something from Julio and think, like, okay, I think I got this, and the translator will pipe in, and I'll be like, I don't think that's what he said. And then all of a sudden I'm, like, second-guessing myself, but, I didn't know that we could, drop F-bombs and start, using curse words on the press conference. I thought that this was going to be all over the place, or aired all over the place. If I knew that, man, I would have let it rip a little bit more. But it's just like, I'm behind the 8 ball there. I'm like, trying to translate everything in my head, and I'm like, this mother just called me a bitch, didn't he? And so it's a little bit rough. Those are always such an experience. But like most things in life for me, I throw myself in the fire, and I'm just up for the adventure, and at the end of the day, you just kind of have to laugh at it, like, how did I get myself here? How did this happen? Whatever, here we go.
I will tell you that there are times where I don't know your expertise, but I know that they'll say something and the translator completely changes it.
Oh, totally. And I mean, and it's like, it's happened a bunch of times, and I'm always just like, I thought I knew what he was saying, and now I start questioning my Spanish, and I'm trying to translate what was being said and think of my question at the same time. It's craziness, but that's that's why I'm Matt Taven, because I can handle stuff like that.
And going into this match, one of the things that happened at the press conference, actually, and I don't know how you feel about it, was that Rush did not sign the contract.
Oh, he's so tough, man. He really took it out on that piece of paper. That piece of paper put up such a fight against Roosh that, like, Roosh, he was like Tyson out there. He took paper. Man, I can't believe he avoided those paper cuts. What a tough guy.
Is there any concern that he gave his word that if he loses, he will allow his hair to be cut? Are you concerned at all that maybe he'll go back on his word, especially since he's a Rudo?
Well, I grew up in before the everyone gets a participation medal time that we're living in. Where high school football and college athletics and all that stuff, you'd have a little bit of what they call a hazing period. And, every once in a while you'd have to take the new guys and hold them down and shave their eyebrows or something for a good laugh. So having to hunt Roosh down, drag him out to the middle of the ring in Arena Mexico and hold him down and shave his head, it's like, I hope that happens. I'll almost make my day and make the experience even better.
Is there any concern about the possibility that Tirantes could be the referee?
It's one of those things where you can't really sit and worry about it, because now your mind's on your opponent, your mind's on the ref. And, he was a pain in the ass during my match with Ultimo Guerrero, but I was able to pull that off. So, and that guy's easily coerced. Maybe I'll have some extra pesos in my pocket. I can slip into his yin-yang suspenders. But, I can't focus too much on him with guys like Roosh and Cavanario across the ring.
Granted. And now that you're down there, kind of switching gears a little bit, have you been able to visit any more sites for Travel Taven?
Yeah, actually, and I haven't had. Well, I actually went to a place that I'm gonna have to go back to because the footage didn't come out the way I wanted to. But from being down here how religious everyone is, and it's kind of part of the culture. Well, that kind of all stems from the Lady of Guadalupe and that church and basilica and the picture, if you will, or shrine to the Lady of Guadalupe is not too far from my hotel. So I've already headed over there once. It's amazing. But again, I need to head back over there and kind of finish the footage that I was shooting. But besides that, I mean, there's so many cool things in Mexico City, and it's like you go from one historic spot to like a cool abandoned spot. And I've just been trying to film so much; it's going to take me forever to edit, which is my own dumb self just filming everything. But I've been able to squeeze in some sightseeing in my free time, even though the schedule's been pretty go. So I haven't had too much free time.
Yeah, are you going to be down in Mexico straight through until the Aniversario?
I might have some plans to head back to the States for a second, but for the most part, I'll be here.
All right, well, fantastic. Just remind us where we can check out Travel Taven and all your social media and everything.
Well, if you could spell Taven, which seems so much easier than some people, figure. It's so much easier than some people make it out to be, but it's Taven. And if you can spell that, congratulations. You can find me anywhere. YouTube, Matt Taven, Twitter, Matt Taven, Facebook, Matt Taven, Pro Wrestling Tees, Matt Taven, and Instagram is the Matt Taven because some Melvin took Matt Taven from me and is holding it hostage.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Again, congratulations on being named the main event of the Aniversario, and good luck. Hopefully you don't come back scalped.
Hey, you know what I mean? I think I got this one in the bag, so I'm looking forward to it. But thank you for having me again.
All right, just once again, thanks to Matt Taven for joining us. It feels like it's kind of been a summer tradition. Talk to him about his time down in CMLL, and make sure you go check out Travel Taven on YouTube, and make sure you stay posted for that match on September 14th. All right, and as promised, I guess the last thing we'll discuss before we head out of here is the spoilers of the NXT. So if you guys don't want to listen to the spoilers, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at Running Wild LWOS. Follow us on Facebook at Running Wild on Wrestling. And you can send us an email at runningwildpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback and comments and everything like that and in between about the show. All right, so Johnny Gargano comes out, and the crowd, he basically goes into like what happened at TakeOver, and then he calls himself he says he's a failure, and the crowd starts chanting Johnny Failure.
Velveteen Dream had it on his shirt, and I believe Velveteen Dream called him Johnny Failure, and then that's kind of what sparked it.
I thought the way I read it was that it happened first, then like they scheduled a match for the next week, and then that's when Dream came out with the shirt to Johnny Failure. But I feel like the crowd.
Well, whatever.
Said it
He
first.
called him it at the beginning, and then they chanted it during the match.
I mean,
and then sung the goodbye song after.
Like, I mean, F you, Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, this is the worst. Johnny Gargano is that. You can talk. I don't know what to say. I'm upset. Like, this legitimately makes me sad that this man was called Johnny Failure. Like, yeah, he didn't win the title, but
yeah,
he's
he
not
can't be called Johnny Champion because he's not the champion. He failed a couple times in a row now.
So I assume that you're happy about this.
I'm not. I don't really have any emotion. I'm just stating the facts.
This poor man. I mean, something I see, and what's going to happen is like he's not. If he doesn't get this, if this doesn't get turned around, man. Like if this just downward spiral, like this is like me picking Jannetty. Like I don't know, man.
But see, that's not the case. Like clearly, he's not just going to be like devastated and never wrestle. Like, you know what I mean? This is
pull Wade Barrett.
Yeah, this is clearly all to build it back up to when he finally does get that win.
I hope you're right, because I'm like just reading that makes me sad. So I don't even know how I can deal with it going forward. I just want to press the fast forward. But what I am excited about is that Cassius Ohno came out and cut a promo, and he was basically like, I'm kind of sick and tired of being overlooked, and I'm an afterthought now, and I'm not important. And the next guy who comes in here and thinks that he's the bee's knees is I'm gonna come after him. And we talked about it. I think we talked about it when Riddle showed up, and that one of the things that we would be excited to see was Ohno versus Riddle, and they're going to it right away, unless we get totally surprised and it's some random dude they signed.
Well, right, and that was the other thing. Like, it could be Keith Lee, but like either way.
Either way.
Keith Lee had awesome matches as well. So, but Keith Lee's already, I think, been on NXT, so I think he's already kind of like not a new guy. But yeah, like for Riddle to debut the 4 days before, and then for him to come out and say like, all right, I'm tired of all this. The next new guy that comes in, I'm beating the crap out of him. It's like, oh well, okay. Clearly, that's got to be Riddle. So, yeah, they killed it in Evolve and Beyond and wherever the hell else they wrestled. It was always awesome. They're boys, so I'm sure it was like a hero. Like, hey, come on, let me work this guy. Let's do this. Let's tear the house down and all that. So, yeah, I can't wait for. It sucks because it's like what, a month. That they filmed, so nothing happens for the next 3 weeks, but hopefully when they film again, we'll have some more concrete information, and we'll be well on our way to Riddle and Hero.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and I forgot to mention it earlier, and hopefully you guys are still with us, but I mean, Jeff Cobb came out on Ring of Honor TV this week and destroyed some dudes. I'm hyped about Cobb, man. The fact that they're presenting him this way, where he just came out and like destroyed two guys who were in like a Future of Honor or Top Prospect tournament match. That's a great presentation. That's a great move. I mean, he's a name. They brought him out as Jeff Cobb. I mean, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is somebody that we've been clamoring Ring of Honor to sign or have on their show for a long time. Jeff Cobb is absolutely awesome, and he just fits perfectly in Ring of Honor. And when he's angry or he's pissed off or he's just in a destructive mood, he is
beast.
Oh man, so much fun to watch. I recently just watched him against Janela and PWG, and he was being a little more douchey and he destroyed Janela. So it was a lot of fun to watch. I really like Jeff Cobb, and definitely a welcome addition to Ring of Honor.
100%. All right, I think we got everything covered this week.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate it if you guys still stuck around for the end of the show. Just to remind you, you guys can check me out on Twitter at rich_LACONI, and check out my Ring of Honor coverage over at pwpodnerds.com and ROHworld.com, as well as lastwordonprowrestling.com. With all that out of the way, to remind you guys that you've been listening to the podcast that is just too sweet.
For Rich and Runz, this is the host of Ring of Honor Wrestling, Ian Riccaboni, signing off. Be sure to join them next week for another episode of the Running Wild podcast.